to the Feed You podcast, giving you the real scoop on raising your business to new heights. Expert education, inspiration, and motivation to fuel your purpose, your passion, and your profits. Here's your host, Elisa Connor.
Hello. Welcome to the Feed You podcast. I'm Elisa Connor, and I am so grateful you're here. This is episode 82, and we are talking today specifically about pivoting your small business during the coronavirus, COVID-19, and beyond. We are now officially in Colorado about a week into our lockdown status, and there's a lot of concern with businesses that are either having to let their employees go, close their doors, or just overall not being prepared or not knowing how to handle the uncertainty of what's going on in our world. And so I wanted to give you guys some insight into things that you can do in different industries as a small business. Just because things are shifting, just because things look very differently than they looked, say, a week ago or a month ago or a year ago, it doesn't mean that it's the finale for you. However, if you did not move your business into an online platform, or you don't have a very strong online presence, you're gonna have to play a little catch up. That doesn't mean that it's the end of the world for you, and that things have to completely end, but there are definitely some things you can be doing, specifically if you are quarantined at home, or you are in kind of a lockdown status like we are. And it should be a good crystal ball for you about what the future looks like, because if you haven't picked up on the reality that a lot of our world is becoming digital with simple examples like Amazon, Uber, Lyft, all of those things that have been happening over the last few years are all ways that business is moving into an online arena, and people want things and they want them quickly, and they want their experience to be effortless, and they want to know that they can depend on you to deliver. And so many people in industries that I have been looking at from a marketing perspective are taking full advantage and are pivoting and are doing exceptionally well. So I'm going to give you a few examples, but I also have 5 different tips or questions you can ask during this time specifically to see, how can you stay active and still bring money in, and still basically survive and thrive this current situation that we're in. And as I talked to more people, I gathered more and more examples. But the first question that I want you to sit down and kind of ask yourself and brainstorm, so maybe get out a piece of paper while you're listening to this episode, is, what can you do quickly to get your business online? So if you're a consultant or a coach or a mentor in some way to people, can you move that online using technology like Zoom? I know I had to just teach my mom and a few other people how to use Zoom because I had never used it. I had a client who does yoga, and I turned her on to Zoom, and now she's offering a couple of free classes for people to get going, but then she's going to move that into a membership site and start charging for classes via Zoom, because she can see people doing their yoga. She can give them not necessarily hands-on adjustments, but she can tell them, lift your shoulder higher here, you can do this. So it is possible, if you think outside of the box, for nearly any business to get some traction and even some revenue generated during this time where we're locked down. And that's my hope for you with this episode, is that I give you some ideas to start thinking about how you, as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, can keep the wheels moving and keep the ball rolling, because there are definitely people that are still working from home, that are still generating an income, that have not been affected by unemployment, and those are people that have money to spend. And so and then there's people that are prepared, and this is not a permanent thing. That's the other thing I want you to keep in mind. Our world will never look the way it did before this happened. However, that doesn't mean that it has to be destitute or dismal. So keep that in mind. Keep your thoughts high. Moving on with, going into some other examples for that question, what can you move quickly online, is, do you have products that you can sell in an online capacity. So for example, if you're a hairstylist, maybe you have hair products that you use with your clients, and now they're at home and they have to do their own hair. So for example, my mom usually gets her hair blown out every week at the hairstylist because she has really thick hair and it's hard for her. She's older and it's hard for her to hold the dryer that long. And so an example of this could be if you're a hairstylist, maybe you get on Amazon and you set up like a little shop for yourself and you offer a hairdryer. My stylist uses one that is I'm trying to think of the technology. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It dries your hair in half the time. And so if maybe you offer the hairdryer and brushes and shampoo and conditioner and styling products, and then you do some YouTube videos to show how to get done faster, how to make it through, how to hide your roots until you can get back in. If you're desperate and you have to do your own color, like which ones to choose. That won't damage your hair, that won't interfere with what you've already got going on. I don't know exactly because I'm not in that industry, but how can you do that? Another problem that I see a lot on Facebook is everybody has these gel nails or acrylic nails, and now they're growing out because we're 2 weeks in, and they're like, I don't know how to take these off without ruining my nails. And so can you do a tutorial to help and offer some products that you can make either an affiliate income from, or you can sell them directly and make a percentage to help them get through. And so that would be kind of in the beauty world. And then, another option is what kind of training can you offer online? Can you offer some kind of training like my client that does yoga online that people will pay for, that they still get your one-on-one attention, you're just not in the same room, and starting to get creative. And then also if you have a community, can you create some sort of community environment that people will pay for? So like a membership where people can come together. The one that comes to mind is like if you belong to, like, say you're running a networking organization and you have members that still want to network. There's no reason you can't do that with the technology we have available, and just move it to an online community until this all ends. People can still network. You can set up ways for people to get in touch with each other, post the big gathering, or you can just set up those one-on-one interactions for people and do like kind of a matchmaker system. But how can you keep people still engaged, involved, and keep your brand in front of them? So that's question number one. Question number two is how can you become more or stay visible in front of your ideal clients? And there's a couple of ways you can do this, and some of them are probably pretty in your face right now. One is to get on social media and start being a value to the people that you're trying to get in front of. And I gave a couple examples of that with hairstylists, so maybe you're recommending a certain styling product for a certain type of hair, and you get on and you do a tutorial of yourself in the mirror, recording it with your phone. And it doesn't have to be perfect. People will still be like, oh my gosh, I totally can do that now because she showed me. And they'll try it. And does that mean they're never going to come back and get their hair done from you? Absolutely not. They're probably counting the days until you're back open. And so, how can you be of benefit for them on social media rather than just, I've seen over and over things done so poorly. Immediately trying to sell your products without any kind of warm up. You've never gotten an email from somebody and then all of a sudden they're emailing you to buy all of their products. And that's like the epitome of going on a first date and asking somebody to marry you. And then the opposite is like I have actually seen some GoFundMes from these people, and I'm like, that it just reflects so poorly on you as a business owner. I would highly recommend not doing that. I mean, try to think outside the box a little bit with your marketing and get some business that way. And I'm going to give you a couple more examples rather than do that, because it doesn't give you a long-term benefit to operate that way as a business owner. It's actually going to do more damage for you in the long run. So I just want to really encourage you not to do that. Like as a last resort, you might want to do that, but I would not recommend it. So, and then, The other way is like maybe you have some time on your hands and you're sending some handwritten notes, or you're creating some additional emails just to reach out to people that haven't been in touch with you for a while. And I'll get to some things you can say to them in just a few minutes. But, how can you reach out to those people that are either really good clients or that have kind of fallen off the wagon? So one of the examples that comes to my mind that I'm going to talk about in a little bit is people that are in the chiropractic or alternative medicine arena. You might be like, oh, we can't be open. But how can you think outside the box to reach out to people now so that when you do reopen, they're ready to come in and see you? And whether that's around education or it's going to take some thinking outside the box on your part. But, are you offering them stress relief at home, or are there things that you can do to, record? There's ways that you could do some self-massage, like with a foam roller or a tennis ball or something like that to alleviate pain while in the in-between, things like that. And then last but not least, this was a sample that came across my desk, was like, how can you show up as a community resource during this time? And this came across my inbox because one of the chambers in the area actually is doing this on a weekly basis, where they're reaching out to the community to purchase gift cards for all the different restaurants in the area. And so say there's a pizza place and a Chinese place and an Italian place and a Mexican place and maybe like a burger joint. And they buy gift cards for all of these places and people donate them. So the restaurants are getting business, and then they are delivering meals from the restaurant to local hospitals so that the people that are there can have a break from all of the trauma and things that they're having to deal with on a daily basis. So it's a great way to give back, and it's a great way for the chamber to get in front of its members in a way as a positive community activist, but also in a way to support the businesses that are still open. So restaurants, and then of course the workers that are trying to keep us all healthy and safe. So great way to think outside the box. Hooray for you, Superior Chamber, if you're listening. I challenge you to think about how you could do that in your own business. Like, how can you show up as a community resource? Another example of this, is pivoting your business is, and I'm actually going to save that one because that goes under number 4, but there's another way you can do this that would be a community give back, but I'll get to that in just a second. So the third question that I would encourage you to ask yourself is, what can you do now in preparation for when you do reopen? Because everybody's got a little bit of time on their hands. And I don't know about you guys, but it feels like these days go really fast anymore, faster than normal. And my days normally go really fast. So what time or how much time can you set aside every day to kind of prepare yourself and set the groundwork so that you can hit the gate running and help as many people as possible when you can be back open, and to try and recoup some of the revenue that you're not generating right now. And one thing I really want to say about that, and it's going to lead to a story that happened to me, but so I'll just tell you the story first. Over the weekend, the hot water heater went out, and I don't know about you, but you quickly realize that the luxury of hot water when you don't have it. No showers, no laundry, no hot water for cooking, on and on and on. And so we tried to fix that on our own. The water heater was not very old. I think it was 4 or 5 years old. So we tried to fix it. We could not find the parts. And finally I was like, I'm done. I'm just hiring a professional to do this. So lesson number 1, hire a professional and save yourself a ton of time. And when the bid came back, which they did an excellent job, and they actually repaired some things that we weren't even aware of were wrong with the piping and different things, because my house is getting older, and the things that were installed at the time when they built it are just not what's current technology. And so the bill was, like around $2,400, and I was like, because we're in a very uncertain time right now, and so it's easy to move into that mindset. But I have been constantly kind of chatting in my head or repeating in my head the mantra that money is always available. Money is always available to you. And that's kind of your mindset takeaway this week is money is energy, and we can control the energy that comes in and goes out by our thoughts. And so if I continue to repeat the mantra, it's easy to attract more money. It's easy to make more money. Money comes to me easily. Money is always available to me. The universe always provides to me. That is where you keep your vibration, for lack of a better term. And when you keep your vibration there, the universe has no choice but to respond to that vibration in a positive light. So if you are struggling with finances right now, you're struggling with the money, I want to challenge you to change your mindset and tell me what happens when you truly change your mindset. And it's not lying to yourself, it's changing what you're focusing on. So if you're focusing on, for example, I talk to my mom and she's watching the news every day. I'm like, stop watching the news. Put yourself on a news diet. Literally, like one time a day. It's one thing to be informed, and it's quite another to be consumed by the news. And the same goes for money. Like if you're stressed about money, you know what? Don't be ignorant of it, of course not, but make a list of all the things that you have to pay for, and then create a little plan about how you're going to tackle that, and then leave it. Walk away, go for a walk, create something, which is point number 3, to move your business forward, and just know that it will be taken care of. As sure as you know that the sun is coming up tomorrow, know that you're going to be taken care of. And so when I say focus on this is going to help you do this, focus on what you can do now to elevate the number of people coming through your door later. That's what I mean by this, is like money will come. It's just sometimes not always on our time frame. And when we get wrapped up in that fear mentality, it's really easy to delay the certainty of money and abundance and all those things coming into your life. And trust me, I've done it many, many times. That's how I can tell you that what will work and what will not work is if you're focusing on lack, you're going to have more lack. If you're focusing on abundance, you're going to have more abundance. So take a look at like what marketing projects you put on the back burner because you were busy. Do you need to update your website? Do you need to start growing your email list? Do you need to create a CRM so that you can stay in touch with your customers better? Do you need to evaluate your business goals and projections so that you are moving in a new direction? A perfect example of this is the food industry, which we're going to get to in a minute. There are so many small mom and pop restaurants who have just basically closed their doors and are not going to reopen because they didn't take the initiative to get in line with technology to be able to continue operating or jump on the bandwagon to continue operating in a way that enabled them to do delivery and carry out. The people that have pivoted in that direction, I'm going to give you some specific examples in a minute, are doing even better than what they normally would. And so you may have to take a look at your overall vision, strategy, and goals and see, okay, we're here now. Now we open back up in another 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I can't remember what it is in Colorado, but nationally, let's say it's a month. Does that mean that we're never going to be on lockdown again? Probably not, because this virus, it keeps mutating and it's so uncertain that there's no certainty going forward. And so as you're planning, I'm not saying that to put you in a fear mode. What I'm saying is that you can plan strategically how to ride the bumps in the road. Like if you imagine it as, I always imagine entrepreneurship and small businesses, like we're always on a roller coaster. There's some ups, there's some downs, there's some ups, there's some downs. And so how do you manage those times when you're, the roller coaster is kind of going down and maybe you have to be closed again? Like what can you implement and start thinking outside of the box to implement to keep you going during those periods when you don't have any control over what's happening in the outside world. And then, put it into action. There's a lot of people out there right now that, like maybe you need a website overhaul. Well, everybody understands we're all in the same boat. And we know that money is not necessarily, flowing right now for people. You're not having as many sales or whatever, but ask if you can do a payment plan. So maybe you do a deposit now, and then as the business opens and you start to get an influx of more people, you can pay off, some website changes, or you can tackle it on your own. I did a great tutorial on YouTube last week for businesses that have products and specifically restaurants that have menus and things like that they need to set up, that you can do for free if you have Square. So you can check that out. I'll put it in the show notes so you can link, so you can get to it. But great YouTube tutorial on that. And just think about, what can you do now and for planning for the future, but also what can you do now to generate more income later? And that leads me to number 4, which is ask yourself, what can you do to bring in money now? And there's a lot of people that are in the situation where they just can't work. Salons are one of them. The chiropractic industry is one. A lot of any kind of gym or physical exercise kind of thing, but there's a ton of things you can do in that arena to keep your people engaged and paying. And again, the people that were on this earlier in the game already figured this out, but that doesn't mean you can't do it for your customers and the people that constantly are working with you. The people that are getting it right are they've already moved into that arena where they're offering like yoga online. They're offering group fitness classes online. They're offering group fitness classes that happen live, and then they can pay for the recording, on and on and on. Or you get a membership and you get both. There's a million ways to do this. So if you're in the food industry, obviously, we're a week into this, and a lot of businesses have already adapted to offering online menus where they can do their regular menu for takeout or delivery. A lot of companies are moving their wait staff and other employees into a delivery driver role because it can keep the money rolling in for them. There's still some other ones out there. I know we just went to our favorite pizza place. They're just doing takeout right now, and I'm wondering how long they're going to survive without having some kind of online capabilities. And it's a total mom and pop. It's absolutely our favorite pizza place because they have excellent food, but they are one of the ones that really need to move forward with doing something online. It's going to save them a lot of time. It's going to streamline their ordering, streamline their payment collection, and free up time for people to go do delivery and extend their their delivery boundary so they can actually go further. Does that take a little bit of investment up front, either time or money? Yes, everything does. Everything in marketing your business. But if you want to keep the doors open, you got to get a little bit scrappy. So what I have seen working really well also, and I'm sure you guys have seen it, 2 different examples here in the food industry. One is you have restaurants that are also, because they want to keep their suppliers in business, are continuing to order food, and they're selling that food as a kit. So like, for example, we have a restaurant here in Broomfield that they do a lot of steak. It's kind of a higher end dining option, but they have steak and chicken and all that stuff. And so they put together a meal kit that basically had like 6 burgers, 2 or 4 steaks, and then like some household things, butter, eggs, things that people are having a hard time to find. Butter, eggs, a cake, and like a topping for the cake and ice cream. And it was a totally great deal. It was like $70, and you got a ton of food. And then there was another one I saw that was Mexican food, and they had a bunch of Mexican food and then toilet paper, which I thought was hilarious. A gallon of milk, because that was also something that's been hard to get. And theirs was like, I don't know, $40. It was also a really good deal. And then the liquor license stuff in Colorado has been lifted a little bit, and so they can actually do margaritas to go. And so they put the margaritas, I don't know how they delivered them because I haven't ordered margaritas, but I know they have it as an option, and I know people that have done it, and they thought it was great. And then some of the breweries and wineries in Colorado have started to, I'm trying to think of what those bottles are called. I'm not a beer drinker, it's so obvious, but there's the kind of fat bottles that you can get of beer, and they've started growlers. There you go. Sorry, it wasn't coming to me. So they're selling growlers of different beer and having people take that to go. The winery that I love in my little downtown part of Arvada, they will actually deliver wine. They delivered wine to me. And so, what do you have? And in doing that, sold me into their wine membership, which happens every other month, and you get 2 bottles. But it was a no-brainer. I think the wine membership was $40 every other month, and you get 2 bottles of wine. Well, a bottle of their wine that is my favorite is $40, like just 1 bottle. So I'm basically getting a bottle for free. And you're like, well, I don't need to drink that much wine. Well, I don't drink that much wine either. I love it, but it's really nice to have it as a client gift. As a gift for, friends and neighbors, thank you gifts, all that kind of stuff. And it's helping me support them through the lean time. And so, what can you offer in your business or your restaurant that is kind of thinking outside the box? A couple other ones that I've seen. There's a restaurant in downtown Denver. They're offering meal kits that are like basically take and bake. They will make the entire meal for you, and then they give you instructions to stick it in your oven, you bake it, and you're ready to go. And what's really nice about them is that they have gluten-free and vegetarian options, so it's kind of setting them apart just like you would in a regular restaurant market where you're trying to be a little bit different than other people. But they're offering those in I think it came in a 3-pack, 5-pack, and maybe a 10-pack of meals. And then I couldn't remember how many servings, but it was done very well. And they're like, you don't even have to get out of the car. You just call us when you're here, and we're going to run it out to you. It's going to be ready. And even retail is doing that. I've been making masks for hospitals. I got on this mask challenge thing, and I like to sew. And so I ran out of elastic. It's one of the things that you run out of. And so I was like, I wonder if I can get this from Michael's, how can I have it delivered? Will it get here in time? All of that kind of stuff, because things are just kind of cattywampus right now. And so I look, and they're like, oh, you have curbside delivery. And so I ordered it, and they sent me a message, and they said, we have curbside delivery. And so placed my order, pay for it, got an email. They said, we'll email you when it's ready. Emailed me when it was ready. They're like, call this number when you pull up, and we'll run it out to the curb. So sure enough, called the number. 5 minutes later, opened the window, guy gave me the order, put it in my car, and I was on my way. So you could create something like that for your business, is what I'm saying. I'm giving you these examples so you have ideas. And then last but not least, I ran across a couple of different businesses that were formerly wholesale only, like they would only sell to restaurants and coffee shops and other businesses, basically. And they're a bakery, and they have had to pivot their business to sell to retail. And so, of course, that took a little bit more ingenuity, and they've had to put their employees into a little bit different role of doing delivery. So now they're doing delivery of pastries. They put their entire menu online and changed the pricing for retail. Enabled credit card processing. This is all in a week. Enabled credit card processing, and their business is skyrocketing. Now he's doing these great little videos on Facebook Live, showing some of the recipes that he does and how they do it. And do you think that's going to cut down on his business? Absolutely not, because people don't want to do it. They want somebody else to do it and bring it to them, and they couldn't make it easier. So it's just about thinking, how can you do that? Those are all food. So same with salons. Like you could look at, if you have a salon or a beauty industry, and think about, what could you package and put together now, knowing that everybody's at least home for the next 3 to 4 weeks. They probably need their roots done. They're going to need maybe a dry hair treatment. They're going to need a cut and just a refresh, and maybe they need a cut, a color, a highlight, because spring and summer are coming, and they need their nails done. So what package could you put together now at a rate that you're still getting paid, but incentivizing them to buy it now. So maybe you put together, let's say it's a $200 package and you're offering it for $150. Could you do that and still make money, but have money coming in now, and limiting it to like in the next 48 hours? Like if you purchase this in the next 48 hours, we can book your appointment now. And then if things, for some reason we can't hold it, then you will be first on the list to be called, to be rescheduled. And I don't know exactly how you could figure out the scheduling piece of it, but it's worth at least creating that. And even if you can't put it online, you call up your best customers and you say, hey, I know where you're at, and you're probably going to have to listen to some complaining, a little bit about complaining about roots and all that stuff, but that's okay, because they're telling you everything that they're going to need when you can reopen. Can you offer pay ahead services? So like, for example, the lady that does my mom's blowout, well, she knows she comes at least once. She usually comes twice a week. So that's 8 different hair blowouts. So what if you sold an 8-pack, and instead of it being, I think she usually charges $20 or $25, maybe she charges $15 for each of those, but you pay it now. And so it's saving you money over the long run, but it's also helping you to generate some income now. And so you would have to figure out, how many of those you could do to ensure that you're, you have enough time to fit those in when you open back up. But because, it's a fine balance between getting some income coming now and then also generating income when you reopen. But just some ideas. Or could you create gift certificates? And people are creating, they're giving you gift certificates that they're purchasing now that they're going to use later. Same concept. But it generates some income for you now. And then realtors, this is another tricky one, because you can't really be doing open houses, or if you do, they're very stringent and there's a lot of rules and people don't want to do it. There's a lot of uncomfortableness. So how could you, as a realtor, reach out and do things a little bit differently? And so you could do virtual video tours. You could do a virtual open house where you create like a Facebook Live and people type in questions like, can we see the inside of the cupboards? Sure. And you could even involve the homeowner. Like if they didn't want you in their home, you could have them be the head of the video call to, walk people through. Like, can you show me, how big is the linen closet? Can you show me like what the front yard looks like? All those kinds of things. So, and then more importantly, other than that is like you can do some customer follow-up. So maybe this is a great time to do some customer touch points of like, hey, we reached out to you a couple months ago, we weren't ready, now we are going to be ready, or we're going to be ready in June. What can I do to help you get ready now so that we can get your house listed faster? And then last but not least is like, what resources can you offer to your audience now that they can start? So like maybe decluttering. Everybody's home, they want to declutter, they don't know what to get rid of, they don't have a resource of where to get rid of it. Can you become the resource to give them those answers? So those would be some suggestions for realtors. And then last but not least, we talked a little bit about people kind of in the healing realm, alternative healing, like chiropractors, energy workers, acupuncturists, all those kind of people. Is like same kind of thing. Could you pre-sell a package now that they can come in? Could you create some sort of video diagnosis, kind of like I'm trying like Teladoc or not WebMD, but like how they have the video doctor services. Could you do something like that, that you could maybe give them some recommendations or give them some ideas of what they could try while they're on their own? Like maybe it's like, say you have plantar fasciitis and it's really tight, and usually they do an adjustment, and they're one of the recommendations would be how to roll a ball or how to do some certain stretches, and you're showing them how to do that. And whether you offer that as a paid or a free service is totally up to you, but either one will help build your business. And then, or could you do, like a lot of people have energy work that they can do remotely. So could you do that over Zoom? I have several of my clients that I'm moving in that direction, because they can still do what they're doing as long as they can see you. in some capacity, they can still do their work. And then again, this is a great time for anybody in any business to start doing some follow-up with people that have reached out to you or that have maybe fallen through the cracks, and get them re-engaged with your business and your brand, and maybe creating a special offer for them to return after you reopen. So the last key point that I want to make, and I have 3 specific questions that I want you to ask as you're trying to pivot right now, is to just do some really intentional listening. What are people struggling with right now? I gave you so many examples in here of questions that just came up just being on Facebook, and in my email, certain things that come up across my board. And I want you to do that for the people that are your ideal client. Now, if you're struggling still with your ideal client and you don't know who that is and you don't know how to figure that out, I do have an ideal client worksheet that you can go download for free at alisaconnor.com/ideal client. And it will be in the show notes, which can be found at alisaconnor.com/82, because this is episode 82. But figure out, what are your people, your ideal clients, struggling with right now? And then ask yourself, what are they going to need later? This is what they're struggling with now. Can you solve that problem? And if you can, how? And if you can't, what are they going to be struggling with later? So if you're a hairstylist, later is probably in your radar. They're going to have grays. So how can you create a solution now to solve that problem later? Or how can you invite them or introduce them to a solution that will be available to them as soon as things reopen? So I'm going to run through those one more time just so you have the basic questions. But number 1 is, what can you quickly move online in your business? Number 2 is, how can you become or stay visible to your community? Number 3 is, what can you do to prep now for when you reopen? Number 4 is, what can you do now to bring in some revenue or money, or generate some revenue and income? And number 5 is to ask the 3 simple questions. What do your people need now? What are they going to need later? And how can you offer a solution to them both now and later, or one or the other? I hope that this helps you to feel a little bit more calm during this time of uncertainty, and to realize that all is not lost. Don't give up hope. Put your focus towards what you can control. And I will be back next week. I typically have these episodes planned out, but I'm kind of going with the flow. So this one was not in the order of what I normally talk about. I would love to hear you come and chat with me on Facebook in the Small Business Builders group, and tell me, what you got out of this episode, if you got some great ideas, or if you just maybe need to brainstorm a little bit. I will see you over there. In the meantime, have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Just a quick reminder, don't forget to grab that free Ideal Client worksheet that will help you map out who your ideal client is, where they're hanging out, and how you can connect with them better so that you can quit fretting about your marketing, get out of the overwhelm, and start attracting the clients that you want to work with that will pay you and grow your business. You can grab that at alisaconnor.com/ideal client.